This is the new Microsoft Flight Simulator branded edition of the Next Level Racing Flight Simulator cockpit. The biggest change, the new seat. It's shaped less military and more like something you would find in general aviation, and comes with a feature that's more helpful than it looks at first glance. It's a well thought out rig, but not without a few quirks. I'll walk you through the assembly, we'll mount a bunch of flight gear, and we'll look at the pros and cons at the end. Next Level Racing sent me this rig for review, no strings attached, no obligations, but now without further ado, let's build. The rig comes in two boxes. One medium-sized and dense like a neutron star on creatine, and the other one bigger but lighter. I've also got a box full of extra stuff I bought myself for tuning and quality of life improvements, including a wheel set to mobilize the rig. Both retail boxes come packed inside a sturdier outer box, which keeps things safe in transit. Out of the large box comes the seat. It's wrapped in soft perforated artificial leather with blue stitching down the sides. Looks nice, but we'll put it aside for now. First, we need the contents of the smaller box. Inside, you'll find all the parts you need, a manual with clear illustrations, and a large blister pack with tools, bolts, nuts, and washers. Unfortunately, some of those got loose during transport and mixed themselves up a bit, but it's nothing dramatic. There's also a second smaller blister pack with some extra nuts and bolts and a few more tools. And you get two fabric pads for your input devices. The included wrench and the Allen keys are decent, but for a smoother build, I recommend using your own tools. The build process is way more straightforward than the Flight Simulator Pro, which I also have here. If you're interested in that one, check out the review on my channel. In my own tuning box, I've got some soft parquet wheels, an all-German multi-outlet power strip from Brennenstuhl, zip ties, cable tubing, a 5-meter USB cable, and a powered USB hub. Alright, let's start the assembly. First, we place the NLR branded rudder frame, and then we attach the rudder angle plate. Since the rudder plate itself is adjustable, I recommend mounting it more toward the center of the frame than I did here. I had to move it later. For general reference, I'm 174 meters tall, or about 5'9" in freedom units. After we bolt down the rudder plate, we attach both seat frames, one on the left, one on the right. After that, the end plate goes on, followed by the two low-key Flight Simulator branded side frames, which I think look pretty tasteful. Next is the cross member. Mount it higher if you're using a center-mounted stick without an extension. Keep in mind, in the lower position, the yoke support bracket won't connect. That can matter if you're using a heavy force feedback yoke, but honestly, it holds up just fine without it. And as long as you don't go full Hulk while tilting the mechanism, you'll be fine. By the way, this video is sponsored by the Beam Eye and Head Tracker. It costs just $30 and actually delivers. There's a full review and setup tutorial here on my channel. Check it out if you're looking for a budget-friendly tracking solution that's easy to install and comfortable to use. Links are in the description. Let's continue. Now we mount the seat. In the accessory box, you'll find the recliner covers and all the bolts you need. Bolts go in, covers snap on, and that's done. Then we lift the seat onto the frame. And this is easily the worst part of the whole process. You have to move it back and forth on the rails while they're just floating loose, not attached to anything. It's a pain. Be careful not to pinch your fingers. The bolts are hard to reach, especially the ones at the front. That was already an issue with the Flight Simulator Pro seat, but here it's even worse because you can't slide the seat back far enough to reach the front bolts comfortably. And in the rear, another nut blocks the use of better tools, so you're stuck using the wrench. Next up are the side arms, painted in Flight Simulator blue. You can slide them up and down and side to side along the bolt holes, which is really convenient. Once both sides are on, we attach the flight plate on the left and the mouse plate on the right. Since we're using a yoke in this build, we continue with the center pole. It attaches using a few bolts and a quick release clamp that's kind of annoying to adjust, especially with the included tools. Again, bring your own. Then comes the inner pole, followed by the yoke plate. And that's the main frame done. There's also a keyboard plate included, but since I fly almost entirely in VR, we don't need it today. So far, it's a mostly quick and easy rig to assemble with 2 annoying steps, the seat mount and the yoke clamp. But let's move on and get everything installed and tuned. First, the wheels. Not hard to install, but the rig is getting pretty heavy by now. I recommend propping it up on something to make attaching the wheels easier. Most M8 casters will fit. Then we hit our first actual issue. The MOZA yoke base I'm installing is fairly long, and I'd like to move the yoke bracket further back, but I can't. The alternate holes for the Turtle Beach adapter I could have used are spaced just a bit too far apart. So I was forced to remove the rubber bumpers from the yoke to mount it as far back as possible. Then it's back to the rig, bolt everything in, and done. It should work, we'll test that later. Spoiler, kind of, but it's fixable. I had to push the seat all the way back to use the yoke comfortably. Next we install the MOZA MTP throttle with the attached MLTP panel. That part goes perfectly. Everything fits and mounts easily in under 2 minutes. Now we need pedals. I'm using the Winwing Orions. The rudder plate has a similar hold pattern to the Flight Simulator Pro, so again only 2 bolts fit. To mount the Orion with all 4 bolts, I'll need thinner and longer ones, but 2 is fine for now. For the powered hub and other force feedback gear, we need power. The power strip fits nicely onto the rear brace. Plug in the yoke, route the cables, zip tie the power supply to the frame. Then I tape the USB hub onto the aluminum housing of the power strip using double-sided tape. Easy. Plug in the power, sort the cables, plug in the USB devices, 1, 2, 3, 4. Cut all of the zip tie ends. Don't forget the mousepad and a trackball for VR. And we're good. Time to power everything up. Now let's try something. Can you have a force feedback joystick base and the yoke mounted at the same time? Answer: yes. My MOZA AB9 can stay attached. With an extension, the stick grip sits a bit too high, but it's still usable. If you raise the base to fly without the extension, it bumps into your legs. So your options are adapt or use a shorter extension. Fold the yoke forward and you can fly with the extended stick easily. Pedals are still accessible. Take off the grip, flip the yoke back up, and you're ready to fly with it instead again. It actually works better than on the Flight Simulator Pro, which doesn't have this kind of flexibility. The new seat also has a few real benefits. It's well padded and now includes a built-in lumbar support. Unlike the old seat with its pillow, this one lets you use a haptic pad like the HF8 Pro and still use the full backrest. The cutout for center sticks is also bigger. Even the AB9 base fits completely inside. In the end, the biggest issue was the placement of the large yoke base, which isn't adjustable on the bracket. Because I had to push the seat all the way back, I had to bring the rudder plate really far forward. That makes it more likely to bump your feet into the seat frame and makes pedal control a bit awkward. A sliding yoke plate would solve all of that. What also bugs me, the inner yoke pole is a bit wobbly. The optional support bracket doesn't help much because the inner section doesn't sit completely tight. It's not a deal breaker, just a little bit loose, and that does bug me a bit. Tightening the top makes it a bit better, but still not great. So overall, easy to build, solid value for the price. It's also built compact and doesn't take up a centimeter more space than it needs to. With a few more adjustment options for the yoke and center stick position, it would be a no-brainer. And a tighter fit of the inner pole would definitely be welcome. As it is, you'll need to check if it fits the gear you're planning to use. The new seat is definitely a win. Comfy, easy to adjust, and works great with haptic pads. If you want a discount, check the affiliate link below, and for a full comparison to the Flight Simulator Pro, watch the video linked here. It'll help you decide which rig fits your plans for a cockpit the best. See you there and fly safe.